All right, time to start the meeting. Please join us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? None here. Okay. Moving on to public comment. We have some public comment. Pete, if you would come up and state your name, please.
Yes, my name is Barbara Burkhardt, and I live in Soraya Farms here in Cliff Creek Township. And I had talked with Mr. Clark a month or so ago about coming to speak, and he said he could possibly give me a little extra time here. My concern is, from what I understand, none of you gentlemen have been contacted for a group called Convention of States to do a presentation. And they have been doing that. They have done, I used to live in Wayne Township. They did a Wayne Township presentation and also a Village of Waynesville and City of Lebanon. And the problem is you don't get to hear the whole story if you're just hearing one side. So that is, how many of you know what a convention of states is? That's the problem. Most people don't. So you are not unusual.
I know.
And there are good, well-meaning people on both sides of this issue, but it's a very hotly debated issue, and one that we have to know the facts about. A convention of states is proposing that the states sign resolutions to amend our U.S. Constitution, to hold a convention to amend the U.S. Constitution. What I don't like what's going on the local level, like with you guys and Wayne Township and Lebanon, is they are using the Convention of State lobby, as propaganda. So they will go out to the general public and say, well, Wayne Township has signed a resolution endorsing the Convention of States. I went to the Village of Waynesville and talked with Mayor Stubbs at the time, and I asked, they had endorsed it. And I said, well, do you know there's a lot of opposition to a Convention of States? And he said, no. I said, well, what do you know about a Convention of States? Not much. But because they knew the person who was pushing for the resolution, they all endorsed it. So that's why I'm here, trying to give you information. Okay, so you have to know the facts. Basically, Article 5 states two ways which our government can make amendments. One is Congress, the Constitution, I'm sorry, thank you. Two ways. One, Congress debates, votes publicly, and puts in amendments if it's voted for. That's how we've done all 27 of our amendments. Public people know what it is, who's voting for what. The second way is that if 2/3 of the states apply to Congress, Congress must hold a convention for the purpose of making amendments. That's what Convention of States is pushing. There's no such thing as a Convention of States. Congress controls the convention. If you go to Article 5, it says the states may apply to Congress to hold the convention, but they don't control it. Once they apply, and once Congress says, okay, by 2/3 we have to hold a convention, it's totally out of the state's hands. Congress decides when, where, who the delegates, the unelected delegates are, who even picks the unelected delegates. So it's very serious. Let me just go through my notes. The reason that myself and others are against the Convention of States is because it is very, very dangerous. There is no description, as I said, as to who the delegates would be. How many would come from each state? Are we going to do it like the Electoral College? Or are we going to have one state, one vote? I'm sure California and New York will go along with that. So there'll be a lot of arguing and all kinds of stuff going on about it as well. James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and 3 U.S. Supreme Court justices and other eminent jurists and scholars warned against it. And I have all this stuff for you. I have a folder for each one of you, so you can, which is for the trustees, so you can check all this out yourself. The Convention of States Lobby is funded by very wealthy donors. They have a list of the top donors, and it's not just the people sending in $5, you know, whatever. And they are also working alongside of Mark Meckler is the CEO. He's on TV a lot. You'll see Rick Santorum, who's a paid lobbyist for the Convention of States. They're also working with MoveOn.org, which is a George Soros-funded organization, because that group wants to get a convention too. Why would they want to get a convention? Because the ultimate goal is to get rid of our Constitution. And there are other constitutions already written and waiting in the wings. So if one of them is, yes, I got it written in here, the Constitution of the New States of America, ratified by a national referendum, the states are dissolved and replaced by regional governments answerable to a new national government. I have all the links for this. The Constitution of the new Socialist Republic in North America. The Constitution 2020, a movement backed by George Soros, Eric Holder, and Marxist law professors. They want a progressive constitution in place of the one we have now. What's stopping them? Because we have our Constitution right now. They need to have a convention. And so groups by convention of states say, well, we need to get a balanced budget amendment. We need to get a term limits amendment. Well, you know, balanced budget can mean a lot to a lot of people. You can get around a balanced budget. If we don't amend saying that we have to amend the Constitution because people don't obey the Constitution is akin to saying we have to amend the 10 Commandments because people don't obey the 10 Commandments. It's not the Constitution that's wrong. It's the people who are ignoring it. Any new amendment will be ignored just as much as the ones we have right now. You just think about it. The First Amendment, has that stopped government from trying to restrict our freedom of speech, our freedom of religion? Has our Second Amendment stopped government trying to make laws to restrict our gun rights? It's not the amendment, it's the people we elect. So I have a couple of local examples of what's going on here, aside from people from that lobby group going to our local officials. I don't know your party affiliation. So in January, the majority of the House of Representatives up at the State House pledged to vote in bloc for a certain person as Speaker of the House, Derek Marin. They no sooner made the pledge than 22 of them turned around, went over to the Democrat Party, made a plan, and instead, as a bigger group now, voted to put current Jason Stevens in as the Speaker. They pledged. And yet Convention of States people say, oh, delegates will write a pledge and sign it. Well, not only that, back when our first Constitution, the Articles of Confederation, was going to be amended, they had a convention, and every delegate made a vow of secrecy, that nothing that was said in that hall, they were there for 4 months, I think, would ever be revealed until the last one died. A vow of secrecy just gets rid of this silly pledge that they're going to do something again, one way or the other. Another issue is our own Steve Wilson. I have a friend who lives here in Cliff Creek, and he is very much against the Convention of States. He gets a letter from the office of our Senator Steve Wilson, And he has talked to Steve Wilson multiple times. And the letter says, now it's not Steve Wilson writing this is his aide responding, right? Dear so-and-so, thank you so much for your letter encouraging Senator Wilson to sign on to a convention of states. He would have never done that. He would have never sent an email, a phone call, or a letter to, well, this is happening across the United States. There are videos of elected representatives in different state houses saying that they have been getting emails and letters from so-called constituents with their name on it, but that contact that constituent, and they said, we never did that. What's a convention of states? So somehow there's something going on there, and it's happened right here in Warren County. So what's the answer? How do we make things better? How do we keep government constrained? The founders gave us a very important tool. It's called the 10th Amendment, nullification. Look at Ron DeSantis. He's an example of what's going on. He says, no, the states have a right to say no to anything that is unconstitutional. So do the local governments, like you did for them. So when a government says churches must be closed down, that's unconstitutional to prohibit the free exercise thereof. I don't care what the reason is, it's unconstitutional. People can decide whether they want to go or, like with the pandemic, to church or not. So what some local governments have done is say, no, we're not making that rule for our community because it's an unconstitutional rule. And so much of what the federal government is doing today, federal government has 18 powers, that's all it has. It's on Article 1, Section 8, 18 powers, and it has way gone over that by just usurping powers from the states, taking the states' rights to do things and doing it themselves. So I am asking you to look into it more. I'm going to give, I have things like, let me just show you the one. Here's the Constitution of the Communist Party USA. This is a picture of Mark Meckler. How many know who MoveOn.org is? It's a pretty socialist group. And he's got his arm around Joan Blaze, who is a board member and co-founder of MoveOn.org. And a subsidiary of MoveOn.org is moved to amend because they want a convention. They don't want it for the same thing. I'm not saying they want the same thing. Convention of States want to have balanced budget, term limits, all these things. But MoveOn.org wants to get rid of Citizens United, which obviously supports the more conservative side, and the Electoral College, stuff like that. So if you get an amendment, a constitutional convention, you may very well wind up with losing the Electoral College, because we don't know who these delegates will be, and we'll have no control. So I really thank you for your time and attention. It's a very important subject. It's driving me nuts. I've been up to the State House a couple times, and they don't give up. They don't give up. But many people who are are conservative or very conscientious citizens, well, yeah, we want to make things better. This will not make things better. This puts our freedoms and our founding document in peril. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
May I speak just one line?
Sure.
Okay. My name is Deborah Parker. I live in Clear Creek Township, and I just want to say, in case you're wondering this later, once the Convention of the States is called, they have authority. There is no authority outside of those people in that convention who can say, forget it, we don't like this. Once that convention is called, they are the supreme law of the land, and whatever we get is what we get. This is very, very serious, very, very serious, because there's no one, not the president, not Congress, not the Supreme Court, that can say no to this. They will, once it's called, they have supreme authority. And I just wanted you all to know that too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, just to be clear, since we're having a constitutional law lesson today, anything that's proposed by the state convention has to be approved by 3/4 of the state legislatures.
Yes.
So it just, whatever happens at the convention, just doesn't become law. Actually, 3/4 of the state legislatures have to pass it. Remember the Equal Rights Amendment, that's the last time this really has been done through Congress. That still hasn't been amended, and that's been proposed since the early 70s. So just to be clear, the convention is called by Article 5, that is correct. What is incorrect is to say to you that whatever is proposed in that convention then becomes law. It does not. It has to be ratified by 3/4 of the legislatures, which are all elected by all of us too. That's all. Thanks.
May I respond to that while I'm here?
Sure.
Okay. In the Articles of Confederation, the first Constitution we had was the Articles of Confederation. And the delegates were only supposed to amend the Articles of Confederation. But they didn't. They threw it out and gave us a whole new Constitution. Not only that, in the Articles of Confederation, all 13 states had to agree to a new whatever they did. All 13 states. But you know what they did in the convention? They said no, only 9 out of 13. So saying that all 3/4 of the states, this is safe because 3/4 of the states have to approve it, it is not safe because if they change the method of ratification in there, that's what we get. It is not safe. There are better ways to approach the out-of-control federal government that we have. It's very dangerous, and I hope you will please consider what we're saying.
Okay, thank you. Good enough.
I don't agree, but it doesn't matter whether I agree or not. And it's a matter of policy. It's not, what the Constitution says is very clear. It's 3/4. You'd have to amend the Constitution to amend the 3/4 provision.
Yes,
That's all.
correct.
Okay. All right, well, we appreciate the information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, and if you leave some information for us, that would be good. Okay, moving on to fiscal business, right?
Yes, sir, just a reminder that we will be having a public hearing at the first meeting in June on the tax budget for next year. It's amazing that it just happens every year.
It does for sure.
So, Matt and I have been working on that and be tuning that up and have it ready for the next meeting.
Okay, very good. That's all you have? Okay, new business, we have resolution 5430, resolution authorizing remittance of the first biannual lease payment to Port Authority, and dispense with the second reading.
Declaring emergency. Yeah, we need to get paid, speaking of things that happen automatically.
Yeah.
Twice a year, we're asked to remit our debt service to Port Authority.
They agreed on it.
Construction.
So motion to approve 5430.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw.
Yay. Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yay. We have resolution 5431, a resolution dedicating a portion of Clifford Township's share of the funds of the American Rescue Plan Act funds to pay for the Government Center's interior finish project costs and dispense with the second reading.
Yeah, so this is a list of the relatively minor interior improvements here in the Government Center. Things including painting the interior of the building, replacing the carpeting, doing some of the light fixtures, replacing some of the doors, particularly on the back side of the building. And
Only took 12 years.
only 6 of those are mine.
Okay.
Is there a dollar amount for that?
We asked for $60,000 in total, combination of the projects, which obviously we will bring back for individual approval with the board. But the reason we're doing appropriating the funds by resolution is that we've done that with all of the CARES and ARPA funds that we've expended to make a legislative act by the Board of Trustees instead of just a motion to vote.
Very good. Anybody have any questions about 5431? Is there a motion on 5431?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yay.
Thank you.
Okay. Fire District, Steve, 5432, a resolution declaring personal property as surplus and approving direct sale or donation of said personal property and dispense with the second reading.
Yeah, this resolution covers 2 items, both for the Warren County Career Center. We have our new personal protective gear that came in, so we're looking to get rid of our old stuff that we typically donate it to their program for their students to use. It's no longer able to fight fire in, but they can use it for growing ladders and pulling hoses and essentially any kind of training that doesn't involve live fire. So I request permission to donate that to them. And then also with our new ladder 22 being placed in service, we're ready to surplus one of our engines. They are in need of an engine, so we got online and figured it would be about $25,000 is what we could bring in for that truck. So working with the Career Center, we pay them $2,500 annually to use their training tower. So the memorandum of understanding that was reviewed by our law director, he's in agreement with, allows us to use their training facility for 10 years free of cost in exchange for the engine. Exchange there. So they get the engine, we get the training tower for free for 10 years, and both parties.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay, anybody have any questions about resolution 5432? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Petersman? Yay. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay, and we have a recommendation to authorize payment of the annual subscription to Pathmaster, the traffic preemption system.
This is our annual subscription for the traffic lights that we're working with the city. We've seen a lot of success out of that, where the light turns green for the trucks as they respond, making the response much safer for the crews and the community.
Yeah.
We've been very pleased with it.
Okay, so motion to approve this expenditure of $6,750.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw? Yay. Mr. Wade?
Yay. Anything else, Steve? Planning and zoning. Yes, sir.
Time again for grass nuisance.
It
It's
is.
how we mowed your grass, hopefully these individuals did every week, and if not, these are repeat offenders that need a boost again this year to get started.
Anybody have any questions about 5433? Is there a motion to approve 5433?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Didn't she buy that?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, the individual, it's the old, Lytle Elementary School, I believe is the title of the old schoolhouse, Red Line, Points and Buttle. And we put it through as a nuisance when the county owned it, because they weren't mowing it, just about to went into, private ownership, it would be maintained, it has not yet. So,
There you go.
I'm like, I thought I heard that she bought that.
yeah. Well, we'll see where things go.
There you go.
All right, did we vote on that? We did.
Mhm.
And anything else for planning and zoning?
Not, today, sir.
Police Department, we have a recommendation to accept a donation of $1,000 from Marco Cerio, and Mark Munery for Safety Town. Very nice stuff.
Yeah, Rocco and Mark are constant contributors to that program. They come in every year, and we always appreciate their donation to that program.
Absolutely. So a motion to accept this donation.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw? Yay. Mr. Wade?
Yeah, and then we have a recommendation to approve the upfit of the new 2023 Durango.
Yeah, you know, we had trouble last year getting cars, and this is the last one of the hodgepodge of just trying to order any place to get a car that came in, and we need to get it upfitted with lights and sirens and all that. This is the cost to do that.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this expenditure to upfit the new Durango police car?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw? Yay. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And we have a recommendation to make a conditional offer of probationary full-time employment to John Gleason to fill the newly created administrative police specialty position at a rate of $25 an hour, conditioned on acceptable background and pre-employment testing.
Yeah, it's a unique skill set. It's difficult to find somebody that fits that entire skill set. John had previously been with us, and this fits his skill set, we believe. So we'd like to give him a conditional offer to go ahead and go into the medical phases of finishing out some testing before we bring him back for a full recommendation.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for the chief about this hire? Okay, is there a motion to offer this position to John Gleason?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw? Yay. Mr. Wade? Yay.
Road department?
Paving was supposed to start this week, but it's been pushed off one more week, which is not a bad thing, so we'll have 2 more pipes put in this week and we'll be done with the pipes.
The other guys have been busting and trying to replace those culvert pipes before they come in and pave, so they're
They've been changing.
pat on the back for working so hard these past couple of weeks, they've really busted it.
They're changing 4 pipes a week so far. Yeah.
Good for you. Okay, nothing else?
That's it.
Anybody have any questions for Brian? Okay, we have the consent agenda. Staff updates?
Wait, Jim. Yeah, you have to vote on the consent agenda.
Yes, motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And staff updates.
I've got a couple of things. Late last week, the property on Gardner Road, which has been a topic of frequent discussion and negotiation the last, frankly, 2 years or so, actually did go to closing, and the city of Springboro acquired the land on which 24 will be built. And so part of that, we had negotiated a ground lease with the city, mostly via email and under the supervision of the law director and one of our real estate attorneys that knows more. And they asked us to execute that ground lease. I will get the board a copy of that and have you guys review it and prepare it for the next week.
Very good.
Progress.
Yeah, good one.
Yes, it did.
There were some unforeseen issues.
They're all we call progress.
Yeah, always are. Any other staff updates? Anybody? No further action to come before the board, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.